everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, Manal Talks Books. I'm Manal and let's talk books. I wanted to start a YouTube channel for so long now, but I just never got around to it. But now that we're all in quarantine, I decided now is the time to do that thing that I've wanted to do for so long. So here we are. And I really just love reading books and talking about books and buying books. So I'm very excited to share my passion with you guys. So today, if you haven't noticed, we're talking about some Cassandra Clare books. I mean, just one. This is a review. It's probably in the title, and it's a review of Chain of Gold. It's right here. This book came out on March 3rd of this year. So this is like a very late review, and I know that so many booktubers have already come out with reviews for this book, but again, I wanted to share my thoughts on it because Cassandra Clare and her Shadowhunter Chronicles are my favorite series. And I have this friend who's reading the Shadowhunter Chronicles for the first time right now, and we're at City of Lost Souls. We're reading them in publication order, and so she hasn't yet gotten to this book, and I just want to fangirl with someone. And apart from her, none of my friends have read the Shadowhunter Chronicles, so I can't talk about it to anyone, and it's just killing me. I have theories and I have things that I just want to talk about and scream about. So this is the video to do that. Before talking about the book, I wanted to put a disclaimer. This is gonna be a spoilery review. Guys, I literally have so many things to say about this book. I wrote down all my thoughts, and I have 1, 2, and a third page. But I have 2 full pages of notes. Yeah, so I'm sorry this might be long. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to say is I've watched some reviews, and a lot of the reviews, for many of Cassandra Clare's books, you'll always hear the plot is lacking. And I would agree with that statement. And in a lot of reviews for Chain of Gold, that was also a sentiment expressed by many. However, I don't mind it because I don't read Cassandra Clare's books for the plot. I mean, yes, for the plot, but that's not my main focus. She is a writer that focuses on characters and their relationships with each other, and she does that so well. So if you're critiquing the plot, although you're right, that's not really the point, and I don't particularly care because the plot's just there. So we have a story, so we have something that the characters have to do, and yeah, okay, Mortmain isn't the greatest villain or whatever, but at the end of the day, the love triangle and the parabetite relationship between Will and Jem and Tessa, that was the focus of the Infernal Devices, if we have to take that as an example. Mortmain was just there, so we had something to do and someone to defeat, but the story revolved around the characters. Not that plot isn't important, it's very important, and yes, she could do better, and she somewhat did better in the Dark Artifices, but I don't really care. I will always say that she's an amazing writer because of the relationship she creates and the characters she develops. And one of the things I really love about her characters is the diversity. Especially in this book, there's so much gay, and I am here for it. Fucking everyone's gay, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I love it. Give me all the gays. I was talking about representation and diversity in her books, and I also love the fact that Cordelia, our main character, the hero of the story, is Persian. You never see a Middle Eastern character in a fantasy book. Maybe in a contemporary, you'd see someone from the Middle East, or who was Iranian or whatever, but never in an urban fantasy or especially in YA. And I really appreciated that. And since we're talking about Cordelia, I just wanted to say my thoughts about her as a character. Now, I do not hate Cordelia. I like Cordelia. She's a good character. She is fierce, she's loyal, she's smart. She'll do anything for the people she cares about. She's just a badass, and I love her. But she isn't like a god tier character for me. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen people ranking the characters, or in the reviews, they would always say like, Cordelia's my top character, is my top favorite character of Cassandra Clare's characters. And I'm like, she's good, but after one book, how can you rate her in your top 3 or even in your top 10 Cassandra Clare character? Okay, maybe in the top 10, but like not in the top 3. I'm like Magnus, Simon, Christina. Like, there are so many people I would rank higher than Cordelia. Maybe my opinion's gonna change in the other books when we get to see more of Cordelia. But for now, she's a good character and I like her, but I don't love her, you know? I just feel like it's too early for that. It's too early to say that she's the greatest character or one of the greatest characters that Cassandra Clare has created. I just think that she is a good character, like many of Cassandra Clare's characters. And I do like her and I do root for her and I love that she's our MC. But yeah, now let's talk about the main ship. The main ship is James and Cordelia. And again, this might be an unpopular opinion, but it's not that I don't ship it, it's that I'm not invested in it. First time we heard about Grace and James in the Midnight Air, the first time we heard about it was, we thought that it was going to be this like star-crossed lover trope. That gets me excited. You know, that is one of my favorite tropes in romance. So I was so excited for James and Grace as a ship. So when we saw so much of James and Cordelia, I was a bit disappointed. And I get it. I mean, obviously after this book, we see that Grace and James were never meant to be. And I don't ship it anymore. But to me, I was so much more excited going into this book, knowing that we get James and Grace rather than James and Cordelia. And James and Cordelia, they do have chemistry and I do like their relationship. It's just, there is no like trope that gets me excited in their relationship. I am very particular with the romance tropes I like. They're just okay. They're good for each other. I like them, but they're not exciting. They're not exciting to me, at least. Now let's talk about Matthew, because when I think of James and Cordelia, I think of Matthew as well. First of all, let's just say that Matthew throughout this book has been suffering so much and no one seemed to notice, or they noticed but didn't do anything to change that. To me, like, James is his parabatai and he hasn't thought of sitting down Matthew and being like, hey, dude, so you've got a drinking problem. Let's talk. I'm here for you. Like, because just my poor baby Matthew. I think I have a soft spot for Matthew. He's like one of my favorites, if not my favorite of this whole book. And if you've read the short story in The Ghost of the Shadow Market, you know what Matthew did accidentally, and it really eats him up inside and he feels so guilty. But like, he needs to talk to someone about it because I cannot stand him suffering. And like, no one is noticing, no one is there. When Magnus was talking to him at the end, I was like, finally someone noticed something. Someone sat down and was like, hey, maybe you're not going down a good path right now. Like, stop with the drinking. You know, okay, so the fact that James was under like Grace's spell for so long, maybe that's why he never really noticed, because he wasn't really himself. ever since she put that like bracelet on him, which by the way, whenever she took that bracelet away from him and he like became himself again, and everyone was commenting on how, oh my god, James seems more like himself, James has changed, James. And then when she put the bracelet back, I wanted to scream, okay? I wanted to reach inside the book and shake the bitch. But whenever she put the bracelet back, and then he like went back into being in this daze, like this, he's kind of, he reminds me of like a drugged person. He's living in a haze. And so whenever she like put back the bracelet on him, and he went back to like being in this haze, and no one noticed, like no one noticed that his change in personality correlates to him having a bracelet on or not. Like, now that I've mentioned Grace, let's talk about her a little bit. So Grace is, at first I really thought before this book that I was gonna like her. Again, because I shipped her with James. But now that I've read this book, I don't think she's an evil person. She definitely isn't, because she doesn't seem happy with what she's doing. You can kind of see it at certain points, but she feels like she has no choice. And so again, she's not evil, but she's still a bitch. Like, I still like don't like her because of what she's doing to James. She's controlling him and taking away his willpower. And it's just so unfair and frustrating. So Grace isn't my favorite. She really isn't, but she's not a villain, and I don't think she will be. I really hope she isn't. I want to talk about Anna and Ariadne. I just wanted to say that I read the short story in The Ghosts of the Shadow Market, and when Anna went to Ariadne's house to bring her flowers, and then she finds out that Ariadne is engaged to Charles, which we'll talk about real soon. But yeah, when she finds that out and then she's heartbroken, I was heartbroken. I was so sad. I love Anna, and I wish her the best. And after Ariadne told her like, I'm gonna win you back, I cannot wait. Like, I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see that, and it gave me chills. I was like, yes, you're gonna win back your girl, and you're gonna like. I love the fact that she realized that Anna was worth it, and what I love the most about Anna is she's not afraid to be herself. She's really herself during that time, you know, being a shadow hunter in the 1900s. And she's like, I'm gonna live the way I want to live. And I absolutely love that. And I like how Ariadne saw that, and she was like, it's not worth it. It's not worth marrying Charles as a sham and then living all of my life in a loveless marriage just because I didn't want to stir shit up. I'm so excited for Ariadne to finally win her back and to show that she loves her and that Anna's like worth it for her, and I want to see them together, and I hope they're happy together by the end. So overall, I'm just very excited for that. Now let's talk about Charles. I absolutely fucking hate Charles. Okay. Hate's not the right word. Charles pisses me off. I don't understand Charles. I don't understand where he comes from. How can he be Charlotte and Henry's child? How? How can sweet Charlotte and sweet Henry have raised that? To me, Charles is a Slytherin, and he reminds me so much of Percy from the Harry Potter series, which Percy should have been a Slytherin, by the way, okay? I don't know if that's also an unpopular opinion, but if you don't think so, come on. But anyway, so Charles is definitely a Slytherin to me because his ambition and his career is everything. I'm like, he just wants to be the consul, and like he doesn't give a fuck about anything else. He's like, it doesn't matter who I hurt or if I have to hide myself, who I am and who I love or whatever. He just wants to get at the top and have a career, and he's so driven towards that career, that higher power, getting power. He doesn't see the harm he's doing, and he doesn't care who he's hurting. And I don't understand how he came to be out of Charles and out of Henry and Charlotte, and even Matthew. I know Matthew's like suffering right now, but Matthew's a decent fucking person who would never hurt others for his own gain. And just how Charles treated Alistair, I wanted to slap him so many times in that book. Like, anyway, so he does really remind me of Percy, though. But I hope that, like Percy, he has a moment like Percy had in the 7th book where he comes back and fights with his family. And because I don't think Charles is truly a bad person inside, an evil person, I believe that he will have a redemption like that. He will have a moment where he will have matured and grown. I also wanted to mention Lucy, because when we read all the short stories, we always focused on James, to the point where we even forgot that Tessa also had another child, because we would talk about James's power, he can transform into a shadow and blah, blah, blah. But, like, Lucy's also part warlock. Like, so I'm glad that we got to see that she also had a power, which I think is more badass than James's power. Like, she can control the dead. And she's probably gonna have a big role to play in bringing Jessie back. She reminds me so much of Will. Every time she would say something sarcastic or whatever, I saw Will in her so much. More than James. I saw Will. James has Will's angstiness and moodiness, but Lucy has Will's wit. And I just really like her as a character. I hope we get to see her and Cordelia actually being parabatai in the 2nd book, because I was really pissed when they didn't perform this ceremony in this book, because I was like, but that was selling point of the book. That was one of the selling points of the book. Like, we were expecting our first pair of female parabatais, and like, we have to wait still. Now let's talk about Alistair and Thomas, and Alistair specifically. Oh my god. Okay, so Alistair, when you read the Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, you really hate Alistair because he's such a bully. He's like a Malfoy. Here I go again, comparing it to Harry Potter. So he reminds me of Malfoy. He's a bully. And because you don't understand him yet, you don't know him yet really, you're just really pissed at everything he's saying and what he's doing. And, especially the rumor about Sophie and Gabriel, and that was really disgusting, to be honest. And the fact that he was spreading rumors about Thomas being a bastard, and that was really, really disgusting. I absolutely hated Alistair in Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy and the short stories we saw him in. He was an awful bully. But now, in this book, we get to know Alistair and what he's been through and why he was a bully, and that does not excuse him. That bullying can never be excused, but you get him. You get why he did what he did. He wanted to fit in. His big thing is fitting in. That's why he has blonde hair, because he's so scared of people not liking him, not fitting. He's so scared of getting picked on that he was the one to pick on people, you know? I feel sad for Alistair. I wish he had decided to become friends with the boys instead of becoming their bully, because they would have accepted him. But he was a dumb kid who made a bad decision, and now I really hope Thomas forgives him, because the time they spent in Paris was so wholesome, so sweet, so just pure, and I really want them together. I really love them together. I think they fit so well. So Thomas has to forgive him in the next book. I do not want this to be a whole thing, like a thing that takes like one complete book or even two. I want to see them together by the end of the second book, or at least I want to see them resolve their issues by the end of the second book. Hi everyone. So if you're wondering why I look different and why this area looks somewhat different, it's because I haven't filmed in 2 or 3 days. So yes, I filmed the first clips for this review about 2 days ago, and now I am ready to finally finish it. I have things to say about her, because why is she the way she is? Now, okay, her husband died, her father was killed by her brothers, blah blah blah. But get over yourself. Like, it was an accident that her husband died, and like, her father was a worm. Like, I can't believe that was actually a thing. But in Clockwork Princess, her father turned into a worm who slaughtered everyone in the house, and then like, they went to kill the monster. He turned into a monster, and she's pissed. She's still pissed like 30 years later that her father was killed because he turned into a monster who slaughtered people, because he was like a deviant, a pervert who like slept with demons and got demon pox. And then her husband died, but so like, that was an accident. Like, no one meant to kill your husband. So I don't, like, there has to be something. She's crazy. She has, I don't know, but there has to be another explanation, because she really, really hates Will, and she kind of cut off ties to her brothers, and she wears the same dress, like from years ago. Her house is in ruins. That woman's crazy. Like, that woman is really crazy. I don't understand her. Like, as a villain, she intrigues me, but it will depend on what Cassie does with her. So we have to see what's revealed about Tatiana, but right now it could go either way. Either she will be this great villain with a great motivation, or she will be a bland villain who just went crazy after witnessing her husband get killed. But I hope it's not that, because she went full on crazy. Another question I think every one of us have is, where did Grace come from? And why did the Clave give Grace to Tatiana? And why did she want Grace? Where did she get her? Why does Grace have powers? That's the most important thing as well, because as far as we know, shadow hunters don't have those kinds of powers. Only like warlocks have powers, or the Fae. So maybe Grace is Fae. Oh my god. And the way the book ended, when Belial was like, because he isn't dead, but when he was telling Tatiana that her being an Iron Sister is perfect, I was literally scared. Because to me, like, when people infiltrate like organizations or whatever in books. I just find that so scary because no one knows, and they could literally do so much bad things from the inside. And but I am excited to see the Iron Sisters again. I'm really excited because I always wanted to learn more about them, and I think that we got so much of the Silent Brothers. And granted, we know a silent brother, but I really am intrigued to learn more about the Iron Sisters. Oh my god, Tatana's gonna screw things up real bad, and no one knows. And every time the Clave does something, I'm just like, you're dumb. Like, why are you sending her to the Adamant Citadel? Like, put her in jail. Do something. Put her in a dungeon somewhere and forget about her. Like, why do you give her access to something powerful? Like, it's literally where their weapons are made. Oh, I would like a side note. So I kind of wanted Tessa's dad to be Magnus's. I was kind of disappointed when it was Belial. So it would have been really convenient if Magnus's dad was also Tessa's, but a part of me really wanted it. A part of me expected it almost. But I knew that, like, let's be real. What are the chances? So, like, 90% of me knew that Tessa's dad was someone different, but I really wanted Magnus and Tessa to be related somehow, and especially since Magnus was the one who helped Tessa and took care of her after Will died during all these years, and he was like a brother to her, and I just love their relationship in the later books. And I just thought that would have been so sweet, you know. And also Magnus could be an uncle to James and Lucy, but that's not how things turned out, which, let's be real, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense that they don't have the same dad. They're like millions of demons. But yeah, so that is all. I probably have like some more thoughts, and if I think about the book any longer, I'll just probably have so much more to say. But I will end everything here, and I really hope you enjoyed this review. If you did like it, please give it a like and subscribe. Thank you.